प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नित्यानंद नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नित्यानंद नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य सकारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि बोल हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna Ki, Jai Shri Yashoda Mata Ki, Jai Shri Damodar Ji Ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande. So thank you very much, Sweta Mataji and family, for having us over. And thank you for joining us today again. I'm not sure if you have come before. Some of you may have. I recognize some of you. So this is a very simple program that we do every year in this month, because in this month it is considered very auspicious. It's a time of great spiritual benefit, and it is time when we worship the Lord as Krishna, and in this particular form, as a little boy in Vrindavan, which is considered to be the spiritual world. And you can see Krishna here is standing next to his mother, and his mother is Yashoda. And it is a beautiful pastime, because not only is it sweet in its presentation, but it's equally significant in its symbolism. Whenever we speak of the concept of God, we tend to think of God as someone very far. But in our scriptures, God is considered to be someone very personal, someone whom we can relate to. If we want to develop a relationship with God, which is essentially a part of a feature of human life, because if you think about it, the only difference between human beings and animals is the faculty and the ability to reason and understand certain things about human behavior. The most important thing you will realize about being a human being is that our life is temporary. The animals don't have that consciousness, but we do. And when we realize that life is temporary and it is not permanent, and that nothing we have will be with us, then it's perfectly logical to consider how do we make the best use of our life. Because when you realize something that is very precious to you will eventually leave you, then how you treat it becomes even more important. Sometimes we behave in such a way in this world that we think we will live forever. And we take so many important, sacred and important things for granted. And when the time comes when our body is failing us because of old age or disease, that is often very late for us to begin to understand that there is more to life than just monetary gains or economic gains. The other important thing the scriptures tell us, which is worth thinking about, is the fact that animals eat, sleep, reproduce, and defend. It's a basic animal tendency. If we are not very careful, you realize that that's all we do too. We eat, we sleep, we reproduce, and we defend. So if you look at it very carefully, if there is no faculty for the human body to be able to look beyond just the fact that, am I just this body? Is there something more to life than its mundane existence? Then the scriptures say that we are no better off than sophisticated two-legged animals. It's a very straightforward shot, but it's a very important thing to think about. And that is the reason why our relationship with our Creator becomes very important. Because no matter how much we try to perform something, or no matter how much we try to control an outcome, you will realize in this material world, there is only so much you can control. Even the atheist who doesn't believe in God is intelligent enough to realize that he cannot control everything in his life. If he did, he would then defy the laws of atheism, and he would call himself God, which is quite ironical actually. But that is the truth. So therefore, once we understand that we cannot be in control of everything, then we must realize that there must be something that is in control of some things. And that's a very logical understanding of it. In this pastime, Krishna is playing the part of a child because Mother Yashoda is relating to God in his form as a child. The beauty of approaching God, our scriptures tell us, is that you don't have to approach him as someone very far away and very difficult to understand. God can be understood by the kind of relationship you feel most comfortable being with him. For example, if you're motherly by nature and you take care of children, you love children, it's very natural for you to worship God in the form of a child because your attention to him is very fixed. Sometimes if you're very young and you want to have guidance in your life, then it's very natural for us to see God as our father, as our mother, or someone who is like a teacher. And that is very possible too. Then there are those who believe that it's easier for me to have God as a confidant, or a companion, or a friend. And that also becomes easy. So in whatever relationship that you want to relate with God, God has the capacity to relate back with you. And that is a special feature of God. So in this particular pastime, Mother Yashoda is the mother, and Krishna is playing the part of a child. And in the morning, Mother Yashoda wakes up. And on this particular morning, it is the day of Diwali. And you all know on Diwali, everybody wakes up in the morning, they take their bath, they do their prayers, and of course they dress up very nicely. So Mother Yashoda dressed up also very nicely. But she paid particular attention to what she should do after she had gotten ready. And she thought the first priority I should have in the morning is to actually feed my beloved son, and that's Krishna. So what does she do? She starts churning butter because she knows that Krishna loves butter very much. As she was churning butter, which is laborious in terms of activity, Mother Yashoda was not feeling tired because she was very absorbed in her love for her son. You can relate to that as parents. If you love your children very much, no amount of labor is actually laborious for you. It's not very laborious for you. You find that you'll be able to do it. It may take a lot from you as parents, but you realize that there's a certain sense of satisfaction. And so Mother Yashoda kept Krishna in her heart, and she churned butter for him. And as she churned butter, the ordinary mundane activity of churning butter, our sastras tell us, became a spiritualized activity. Why? Because she was not doing it for her satisfaction. Her consciousness was to do it for his satisfaction. And therefore, she was not caught by the laws of karma. In this material world, when you perform something only for your satisfaction, then what happens is in all our relationships, we're always looking for what I can get from you. I don't care what I can give, but I'm always interested in what I can get. That's a very transactional relationship. And after a while, we forget to think about what others want. And we're very interested to prioritize what we want. And that makes us very selfish. But Mother Yashoda was not like that. Her love for Krishna was very unselfish, very unmotivated. She loved him for who he was, and that was enough. So Mother Yashoda churned butter thinking of Krishna, and it was a completely spiritual activity. And then Krishna woke up. He was in the room. He was very young, and he woke up. He woke up because he was hungry. And so he came outside of the room, and he went to his mother. And when he saw his mother, and she was churning butter, he indicated to her that she must stop. He was very young, he couldn't speak. But he indicated that he wanted her to stop, and he wanted her to feed her milk, to feed him milk. So Mother Yashoda became very happy. Because if Krishna wanted milk, she was very happy to give him milk. If he wanted butter, the butter was getting ready. So Mother Yashoda put Krishna on her lap, and she started feeding him milk. As she was feeding him milk, she suddenly heard that the stove, right? She had put something on the stove in the kitchen just before she started churning. And that was the milk that was meant for Krishna. It was milk from the cows. So Mother Yashoda had prepared milk for the cow, from the cows for Krishna. She was churning butter, and now she was feeding Krishna. So at that point of time, Mother Yashoda thought, I need to save the milk. Because if the milk boils over, then it's wasted. And it's meant for Krishna. So Mother Yashoda then decides, let me put Krishna down for a little while, and then after that I'll go save the milk, and I'll come back quickly to feed him. When she puts Krishna down, Krishna becomes upset because he's playing the part of a little child. So he says, I'm still hungry, and Mother Yashoda has put me down. This is not very good. So I should punish my mother for putting me down. Children think that way sometimes. They have no capacity to punish adults, but they still think that I should do something. So Krishna, while Mother Yashoda was in the kitchen, he took a stone and he broke the pot of butter. And the moment he broke the pot of butter, all the butter that Mother Yashoda was churning, it all flowed out. Krishna became very happy because that's another object of his love, butter. And he thought, now I'm hungry, but if I eat the butter, I'll be all right. And so he started taking the butter. But he knew he didn't have much time because Mother Yashoda would quickly save the milk and she would come back to feed Krishna. But Krishna now knew that breaking the pot was not the right thing to do because his mother would be angry. And so he decided, let me not hang around, because when Mother Yashoda comes back, she'll be very angry. Better I run away. Then maybe she will become more peaceful afterwards. So thinking that way, Krishna left. And Mother Yashoda came out of the kitchen. And to her shock, she saw, instead of Krishna being very peaceful and lying down, he wasn't there. And she saw that the pot of butter that he had was all spilt over. And everything was just on the ground. It was broken. Mother Yashoda was thinking to herself, this is not very good, because Krishna should have been not doing this. And now she became more worried because she felt that Krishna was now stealing butter from his own house. He was stealing butter from the house of his neighbors also. And she began to think that today, I think I have to discipline Krishna. Mother Yashoda was very loving, and she never wanted to discipline her child. But she felt that it was also part of her love to discipline him when he did something wrong. That's why she's the mother. So she said, I'll take a stick and I'll go and find him. She knew that if Krishna were to see her, he wouldn't really feel any fear. But if he saw the stick, he probably would become fearful. So Mother Yashoda started walking into the room, looking for Krishna. And it wasn't difficult to look for Krishna because there was so much butter, you remember, that spilled. Krishna had stepped on the butter and he had walked away. And there was so much of butter prints everywhere. So Mother Yashoda just followed his trail and she entered into the storage room of the house where all the butter was being stored. But they were not stored on the ground. They were stored at the ceiling because Krishna was a little boy and this was the best way to keep him away from butter. But Mother Yashoda saw an amazing sight. You see Krishna standing here? Behind Krishna there is a mortar. In traditional India, people would use the mortar to grind spices. It was fairly large. So Krishna had stood up on the mortar in the storeroom and he was tiptoeing. And as he was tiptoeing, he could actually reach the butter pots that were high up. And Mother Yashoda saw that he had taken a stick of his own and he was breaking the pots and butter was flowing. And as it was flowing, Krishna was taking all the butter. He was eating butter, but he was also sharing it with his best friends. And his friends were the monkeys. There were a lot of monkeys in Vrindavan because it was a very forest area. And these monkeys were very good friends with Krishna. And every day they would play with Krishna and Krishna would play with them. And so Mother Yashoda saw an amazing sight. Krishna was generously feeding everyone butter. Notwithstanding the fact that he shouldn't have broken butter, but the pots of butter, notwithstanding the fact that he should have asked Mother Yashoda for permission, he was still very generous with the butter. But Mother Yashoda watched it, but she was at the side. Krishna couldn't see, and neither could the monkeys. And at that point of time, Mother Yashoda did not realize that these monkeys who were with Krishna, they were very special souls. They appeared like monkeys, but in the previous time when Lord Krishna had come as Lord Rama. These monkeys were the Vanaras who had served him to defeat the great Ravana. So these monkeys were very special monkeys. They were actually devotees from previous births. Because they had served Lord Ram so well, Lord Ram had asked them before the ending of his Leela, what do you want? I can give you anything you want because you've done such great service. And Mother Yashoda and Lord Ram and the monkeys said, actually I don't want anything. They said the only thing that we want is actually a chance to serve you and be with you again when you come back. This is the mood of what we call unconditional love. Unconditional love is when we are ready to always be united in our relationship with God. It doesn't matter in what aspect, it doesn't matter in which time or even in which body, but we want to continuously serve the Lord. So the monkeys were great devotees. And so Lord Ram said, I give you my promise that the next time I come back to this world, I promise you that I will give you an opportunity to serve me. And so when Lord Rama came back in Vrindavan as Krishna, he then allowed the monkeys to be born in Vrindavan as the great sadhus who were actually the great devotees. So you see, our connection with God is not just in one life. It can be for many lives. Even for a moment of your life, if you surrender yourself to God, God never forgets your surrender. This is the greatness and the kindness of God. We may forget good things that people have done for us. And sometimes we forget to reciprocate. But Krishna never forgets. And so Krishna's feeding was not an ordinary feeding. It was the feeding of an exchange of love between God and his devotees. But at that point of time, Mother Yashoda then stepped into the hall. When she stepped into the hallway and the room, then she was seen by the monkeys. And when the monkeys saw her, they all ran away because they were very afraid to be there. And so they thought, I will be in trouble. We will all be in trouble if Mother Yashoda caught us. So then the monkeys all left, and the only person remaining was Krishna. Now Krishna's back was to the door, but when he saw all his friends had left, he knew there was somebody there that must have frightened them. When he turned, he saw his mother. Now Krishna loves his mother, but he didn't love his mother as much as he loved the fact that she normally would treat him with love without a stick. But this time he had a stick. She had a stick. And therefore, Mother Yashoda looked very frightening to Krishna. And so Krishna decided, let me run away from my mother because I know she's here to punish me. And so Krishna got off the motor and he started running. Now Mother Yashoda thought, Krishna is very small. He's hardly 3 or 4 years old. It will not be difficult for me to actually catch him. And so Mother Yashoda started running after Krishna. But she didn't realize that Krishna is actually God and that it is never easy to catch God. We may think that God is very easily available, but do not forget that God is not cheap, neither is he free. To develop your relationship with God is the highest relationship in this world. And therefore, like everything else in life, you must qualify yourself. This is very important. If you want to enter a particular school, for example, you need the requisite grades to qualify yourself to enter school. Therefore, in bhakti, in devotional service, you must also qualify your behavior. And Mother Yashoda's behavior was that of a pure devotee. She ran after Krishna. She tried to catch him. But every time she tried to catch him, Krishna was 1 meter away from her. And the moment she thought she could catch him again, he was just half a meter away from her. And Mother Yashoda ran and ran after Krishna for at least 2 hours. And she could not catch him. And she thought this is highly unusual because it's not very difficult to catch a little boy. But then finally she realized that at this rate, I'm never going to catch Krishna. So she called out to Krishna. And in a mood of surrender, she said, Krishna, I'm unable to catch you. Please allow yourself to be caught by me. Can you slow down so that I can catch you? And when Krishna heard the very simple, loving and sincere mood of Mother Yashoda, when he knew that in her heart she had nothing except love for her child, and that in her heart she felt that catching him was important for him, not for her, then Krishna surrendered to his mother. This is a very important part of the exchange of love between a devotee and God. A devotee always has a mood of humility when he or she approaches God. And God becomes very, very pleased with the devotee's humility. And as much as the devotee takes 2 steps towards God, God can take more than 2 steps towards the devotee. This is considered a loving exchange. And so Mother Yashoda caught Krishna. And after catching Krishna, she thought that Krishna was becoming very afraid. Look at Krishna here. He appeared very, very frightened of Mother Yashoda. His hands are together. He's very fearful. And so he was starting to shiver and he was starting to cry. He was crying so much that Mother Yashoda became very, very petrified herself. Why? Because she felt that this is not what I intended. I did not want Krishna to become fearful of me. Now, this appeared to be an ordinary exchange between a mother and child. But our scriptures tell us that it is wonderful that Krishna could exhibit fear. Because God is the most powerful and God is fearless. Very, very unsure, very meek, very humble, but he's unable to be tied. And finally, Mother Yashoda surrenders to Krishna. And she says, Krishna, for the second time today, I tried to catch you, I couldn't. I'm trying to tie you, but I can't. Please allow yourself to be tied, and I will be very happy. When Mother Yashoda's heart and her mood was very, very pleasing to Krishna, Krishna decided, let me surrender to my mother and let me be bound. Why is this important? Krishna or God, one of his great attributes, whether you read the Quran, the Bible, the Gita, one of the only attributes of God which is supreme and unique to him is that God is always independent. In Sanskrit we call it Swarat. He's independent. No one can tie him down. No one can pull him down. He's free and he's independent. But in this pastime, because of the greatness and the love and the devotion of his devotee, God as Krishna allowed himself to be bound. And that shows us that everyone in this world has the capacity to bind Krishna. Not just Mother Yashoda, but to be able to bind him, your love for him must be unmotivated and therefore uninterrupted. If we approach God with a material motive, he will give us whatever we want. He will give you your houses, your bank balance, your cars, because that's not important to him. And he knows all that you get from him, which is material, will leave you and never go with you after you die. And even when it is with you, it will either deteriorate or you will deteriorate. In other words, the material benefits that you get is actually very temporary. But what God really wants is what pleases him most is when he sees that you're making an effort to reach out to him, not on the basis of what you can get from him materially, but on the basis of establishing a spiritual relationship with him. And what is the definition of spiritual? The definition of spiritual is very simple. When you do something because you have to do it, it's a ritual. Am I right? Because it's a formality. Now, Sweta Mataji could have invited all of you to come. You could have come because it's a formality. She's inviting you, I have to come. Otherwise, it's not nice. That becomes a ritual. Because you have to come. You feel if you don't come, it won't be nice. Or you could come and you could put your heart into what you're doing. Because you mean it. She's someone dear to me. And therefore, I want to come. That makes it spiritual. Because you put your spirit into the ritual. It's the same thing with God. If we do anything for God, we should put our hearts into it. 6:30 relationships don't really work. Not even in the material world. They end up being just what they are, 6:30. But a complete relationship always brings satisfaction. Mother Yashoda completely surrendered herself to Krishna. And when she did that, Krishna completely surrendered himself to her. All the great devotees that you hear about, they all did the same thing. They always surrendered in a very fully and complete and unmotivated manner. Do you remember Draupadi when she was being disrobed in the Kuru assembly? All the Kauravas were trying to disrobe her. Nobody could help her. And they were trying to insult her womanhood. As they started pulling her sari, she tried very hard to hold on to her sari using her capacity. But they were too strong and they started pulling it. She called out for help, but no one could help her. Then she remembered Krishna, God, and she prayed to him and she said, Govinda, you please help me. And she put up a hand in surrender. But Krishna didn't come because she had one hand still holding on to her sari. Because she still thought, I still have some control left. But when she put both her hands up and she said, Krishna, I am completely under your supervision. You help me now. The sari never ended. And the Kauravas never could actually take away her chastity or insult her womanhood. So this is very simple. It shows us that to the extent that you surrender to God, surrender just doesn't mean standing in front of Him. Surrender means using your time, your resources, your effort, your energy, something all of you have done today. That is an element of surrender. So Mother Yashoda became very, very surrendered to Krishna. And Krishna finally became surrendered to Mother Yashoda. And he allowed himself to be bound by his beloved mother. So the 2 inches of the rope that were short, they represent 2 important components of a relationship. The first inch represents the endeavor, the attention, and the surrender of a devotee. That's our part. The second inch represents the mercy of the Supreme Lord. For everything that we do, we require His sanction. If you were to enter Singapore, you need your passport because you require the sanction of the authorities to enter Singapore. Once you enter, what you do, well, that's up to you. But you need sanction just to be able to enter. You need the sanction of the Lord to be able to perform an activity because He is the creator of all of us. So your endeavor is needed, but you should always recognize His endeavor too. And when we recognize His endeavor and we recognize Him in our relationship, then the 2 inches of the rope, the gap closes. And the rope can finally go around Krishna and Krishna becomes bound. So it's a beautiful, simple story, but it has so much meaning and depth to it. And no matter how many times we repeat the story, we've been doing that for the past 1 month, we find every time we hear it, there is still something to think about. There is always something that we can actually take back and improve ourselves as devotees. Then it doesn't become ritual. Imagine for 30 days we're doing this, and if it becomes ritualistic, it becomes very boring. But if you do it because your heart is in it and you really can concentrate on what it means, then it becomes very spiritual. Very spiritual. So this is the beautiful story of Mother Yashoda binding Krishna with her love. And today we are very, very honored that we have the opportunity to actually light lamps and sing for the pleasure of the Lord. Why do we light lamps? Because traditionally we consider the lighting of lamps to be the illumination of spiritual knowledge in a darkened heart. Like I said at the beginning of our discussion, when we start our life, we often end up not being very knowledgeable about who we are, where we have come from, and what is our true nature. We sometimes think that life is just about growing up, getting educated, getting a job, hopefully finding someone we like, getting married, having kids, growing a little bit older, having kids married, having grandchildren, retiring into the sunset, and eventually dying. But there is so much more to life. And that is where we miss out the point. And so when you light a lamp, the lamp represents the spiritual knowledge that is available to us. And if you light it and offer it to Krishna today, then you are praying that Krishna, give me an opportunity to awaken spiritual life in my heart also. That is why we light the lamps. Alright? Very nice. Thank you all for coming. I'm very, very pleased to see you. And I'm really happy that you are all very patient in hearing me. It requires a bit of explanation, but once it becomes explained, then everyone will never forget this beautiful pastime of Krishna. So this is what we're going to do. Mataji, you're going to get us organized. Prabhus, you've got to move out of the way, right? Because you're going to move this way, come forward. Is there going to be some achaman for them?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So someone's going to get ready the lamps for you. You can come forward. I think Mataji, you will also distribute the song sheets there. Okay. Maybe Dipanshapu, you can get the song sheets and give it to them, and then everyone can sing. Now this is a prayer, right? It is known as Damodar Ashtakam. Ashtakam means eight shlokas, and it's in Sanskrit. Try to follow if you can, but it actually describes the entire pastime that you and I just spoke about and heard about. Okay, let's do this. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasakundalam Gokule Brajamahanam Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasakundalam Gokule Brajamahanam Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasakundalam Gokule Brajamahanam. Your turn. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasakundalam Gokule Brajamahanam Yashoda Biyolu Kaladhavamahanam harekrishna Madhyam Tato Drutya Gopya Yashoda Biyolu Kaladhavamahanam harekrishna Madhyam Tato Drutya Gopya Rudantam Muhurte Krayumam Vijam मुहुस्वासकम्पा त्रिरेखाककण्ठा स्मितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिभावम् मुहुस्वासकम्पा त्रिरेखाककण्ठा स्मितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिभावम् इति दृक्स्वलीलानि आनन्दकुन्दं स्वघोषं निमाजं तमख्यापयन्तम् इति दृक्स्वलीलानि आनन्दकुन्दे स्वघोषं निमाजं तमख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषितान्येषु भक्तैर्जितार्थम् पुनः प्रेमहतस्तं सतावृत्तिवन्दे तदीयेषितान्येषु भक्तैर्जितार्थम् पुनः प्रेमहतस्तं सतावृत्तिवन्दे वरं देवः मोक्षं नाम मोक्षवदिं न चान्यं मृणेऽहं परिशानपीह वरं देवः मोक्षं नाम मोक्षवदिं न चान्यं मृणेऽहं परिशानपीह इदं ते वपूर्णात गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्य विरस्तं मन्ये इदं ते वपूर्णात गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्य विरस्तं मन्ये इदं ते मुखाम्बोजम् अत्यन्तनीलै वृतं कुन्तलैस्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्या इदं ते मुखाम्बोजम् अत्यन्तनीलै वृतं कुन्तलैस्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्या मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तादरं मे मनस्या विरास्तम् अलं लक्षलाभे मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तादरं मे मनस्या विरास्तम् अलं लक्षलाभे नमो देवः दामोदर अनन्तविष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलाभिमान्यम् हरि बोल नमो देवः दामोदर अनन्तविष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलाभिमान्यम् कृपादृष्टिवृष्यातिदिनं गतानि ग्रहाणेश मामग्निदाक्षिदृशया कृपादृष्टिवृष्यातिदिनं गतानि ग्रहाणेश मामग्निदाक्षिदृशया कुबेरात्मजो बद्धः मुख्यैव यातः त्वया मोचिता भक्ति भजकृतौ च कुबेरात्मजो बद्धः मुख्यैव यातः त्वया मोचिता भक्ति भजकृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकं विप्रयः च न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे स्थिदामोदरेह तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकं विप्रयः च न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे स्थिदामोदरेह नमस्ते स्तुधाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोदराय विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमस्ते स्तुधाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोदराय विश्वस्य धाम्ने Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, यशोदा दामोदर जी की जय, वृंदावन भूमि धाम की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। Thank you very much, Mataji, for having us over. We'll just light the lamps and then we should be done. Thank you. Thank you all.